I should be fine eventually.
Yeah, it's a feel good Friday now.
No, somebody took my drink.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes, and because the person took my drink, I did not have a good morning.
Are you serious?
Yeah, you know how people like coffee wakes people up?
Yeah.
A cold drink wakes me up. And so if I don't have that cold drink in the morning, it messes up my day.
Okay, I'm promising you a cold drink today.
Okay. I'm still going to find who took my drink and eat their lunch.
Yeah, you should feel good, Tega, because the Super Falcons yesterday qualified for the knockout stages of the Women's World Cup for the first time in 20 years, Tega.
Yes, crazy. So I will tell you all the emotions I went through, which is why my drink was important.
Tell me about it. What happened?
So, the day before, when Scotland and Argentina got the 3-3 draw, because I'm very calm, sometimes. And I said to the rest of my colleagues, let's not celebrate too much, because there's still a possibility of either one of Chile, who was playing against Thailand, that already conceded 18 goals. There's still a possibility of them qualifying ahead of us, and also Cameroon qualifying ahead of us, or Cameroon or New Zealand qualifying ahead of us. So let's not celebrate too much. So I told everybody this. I told everybody. But in my mind, I celebrated. You understand? Then Cameroon came to play against New Zealand.
Yes.
And they now scored the first goal. And yes, I know people like to do, I'm African. I don't do that thing. I'm Nigerian first. So I support Nigeria. Green, white, green.
Okay.
So when the Cameroon scored, and it was looking like they were going to win and qualify ahead of us, because or they were going to, with the 1-0 lead, they were going to qualify ahead of us on fair play. How many cards you got on discipline? I said, we can't do this. I started to pray for the New Zealanders, and then they equalized. And 11 seconds to the end of that game, New Zealand now equalized. Conceded another goal from Cameroon. So it was so horrible, because that meant Cameroon had automatically qualified ahead of us, and there was one spot left. And the Chileans at this point in time, they looked more likely to go.
I think you tweeted at that moment, because I saw that tweet. I saw it.
They look more likely to go ahead of us. I'm telling you. First of all, my blood pressure just dropped. I was like, no, I can't live like this. And then the evening matches started, and Chile had gone 1 goal up, 2 goals up, and then they gave them the penalty. I said, why is VAR working? Didn't it see what happened in CAF, that the VAR didn't work? But they missed the penalty, and so and that was it. And that was the support. So I went from low to high to low to high again. And I'm just all over the place. It was the roller coaster. We played on Monday, qualified on Thursday night.
But congratulations, Nigeria. It's being all over. It's trending right now.
Yeah, and then we face Germany.
Yeah. What do you think of that prospect?
Well, the most important thing is that we're invited to the party.
Okay.
And whether we will enjoy the party, I cannot say.
They'll kick us out.
They'll kick us out
before they serve the food.
But exactly. But I will support the Super Falcons all the way. I think that they can make it tough for Germany. If I'm being objective, I don't see, based on form and on the rankings of the team, that the Super Falcons can beat Germany. But I think they can make it tough for them. So let's keep our fingers crossed. They play on Saturday. Let's see how that turns out. All right,
we'll keep our fingers crossed. Moving on to AFCON, Nigeria's forward Alex Iwobi has said that the 2019 Africa Cup of Nations will be a serious battle as 24 countries compete for, of course, the ultimate crown. And let me quote Iwobi here. He says, everyone is saying on paper that we should go through and qualify from Group B, but we know it's not going to be easy.
Yes, on paper, really, we should take out Burundi. I think the biggest player is Sadio Berahino, who just joined the squad in 2018 after he realized that he was not going to find any chances with England. Madagascar, the only thing I think about Madagascar is the cartoon. It's a famous cartoon.
Seriously?
I'm sorry.
Seriously?
I'm sorry. I don't even think about the CAF president. I think about the famous cartoon. So I'm not sure that Madagascar should be beating us. And then maybe Guinea.
You'll be quite surprised. They have good football on that island.
Yeah, everybody has good. We have good football in Yanojubu.
Okay, okay. I
but,
give up.
but I think our toughest opposition on paper would be Guinea.
Yes.
Um, so he's right. Everybody thinks he should easily qualify, but because this is a tournament
Mm.
and it
People would come prepared, and there's always that danger
they
of saying,
yeah
"Oh, it's easy,
you
it's
know
easy
because when you
breezy."
no it's when you even it's even the way you wake up. Sometimes you're not in the best of form, like some of the
Mm.
players haven't been in the best health. I don't know whether it's food poisoning or is the flu that is going on around.
I think it's the weather, the
Yeah,
bug going
and
around.
so some of the players haven't been feeling well, and if they get to the pitch a little fatigued, a little drowsy, anything can
Anything
happen
can
in
happen.
tournament football.
Indeed.
But they should come out of this group and they should play well. They're also playing on Saturday, so once we
Okay.
finish with the Super Falcons at 4:30,
We're moving over to the
yeah,
Super Eagles.
moving over
Oh
to the
my
Super Eagles
gosh,
at
it's
6.
quite a day. It's quite
Or
a
7, sorry.
day.
So
Ah,
it's quite a day for Nigeria. Hopefully we'll celebrate at the end of both matches.
all right. Australian Nick Kyrgios has accused the line judge of rigging the game. And he has sworn at the umpire in his first round win at Queens. He also berated himself, though, for playing FIFA until 3 a.m. before beating Spain's Roberto Cabel's Baena.
And that's his biggest problem, a lack of discipline. This is a man with all manner of talent, but discipline is his biggest problem. And so you may look at it like, but he was in his house and playing FIFA
Doesn't
until
matter.
3 a.m. What he needed to do was rest,
And
um
prepare himself.
and prepare himself for the opponent. That was disrespectful to the opponent, and eventually it pays. It comes back and affects you. He won that first match, but against Felix Oje Alisim, which is where he said the linesman was rigging, was where the tough one is. And Felix is an amazing young talent that's just climbing up through the rankings, and and he's playing extremely well. And you meet a Nick Kyrgios that is talented, and Nick Kyrgios on a normal day should just put him out to, kind of, so that there will be no contest.
Yes.
But Nick Kyrgios's lack of discipline for me is what gets him. And then he has the effrontery to start yelling at the umpire. Now he's yelling at the umpire saying that, oh, the ball was out, it was a double fault, how could you not see it, are you blind? And then he started using swear words, and he's going off and off, and there's penalties, and he doesn't care. And he told the umpire,
It's that same lack of discipline.
yeah, he tells the umpire, I'm not going to give my 100%.
Wow.
Yeah, if I'm a tournament organizer and I don't have to take a ranking player, he's not coming to my tournament. It's that simple. If I had to invite wild cards, Nick Kyrgios is not one of them.
Oh dear.
There's nothing, because for me he's entertainment, but that's because my money is not involved. You can imagine if I'm the tournament organizer and he starts doing this thing,
And
like
money is riding on
yes,
this.
and he's throwing chairs, and go and do it in your house.
You can't be throwing
We didn't
chairs.
raise you. You don't
can't
come
be
and punish
throwing
us.
chairs.
I'm sorry.
Moreover, sportsmen are, there's certain kind of role models. So
Yeah.
even when things are not going your way, the way you handle it publicly.
Yeah,
also matters.
okay. I don't like to take that role model fact. I think everybody should raise your children yourself. Don't do that. I don't like
But
that.
you know what I
I
mean,
know what you
right?
mean.
You can't
Yeah, I know
be
what you mean.
throwing
I know that
temper
they can be human
tantrums.
beings sometimes, but with him in particular, he now has a reputation. And at some point, it was entertaining sometimes, but now it happens every single tournament.
It's no longer cute.
Yeah, it's no longer cute.
All right, let's quickly go to some messages before we come back and take more stories. Remember to send WhatsApp messages to 0809 444 0981. All right, Chinwe Nancy says, good morning, locker room. I don't care if we're playing Germany. I'm just happy we qualified. Thanks to that Chilean Omolara for missing that penalty. Is her name really Omolara? Nigerians should also lift the ban on importation of file rice because they did us a favor.
So
Really?
we should now compensate them with importing.
Jay says, yesterday I removed Cameroon from Africa's map for a while because of the Falcons. Tiga, my son was liking Chilean team yesterday. I warned him, hey, I'm still your father because this Chile must not score 3 goals or else I bite you. I'm happy for Falcons. Germany should not underrate us. So Tega, so our male and female teams play on Saturday.
My dear,
Oh, yeah.
tension all around.
I know.
Check your blood pressure before you watch TV. That's all I'm saying.
Tayo from Ika says, hello guys. It was indeed an emotional roller coaster yesterday against Germany, though I'm glad the team will play some new members. Iberi hasn't been the best. Rita has been awful. Oshalala hasn't raised her game beyond the 2018 women's game. The prospect of these fresh legs, lovely. Mm. All right. Chimaobi Victor from Alaba International says, good morning. The Super Eagles of Nigeria don't need an excuse at this point. All we need from Coach Aro and his lad for them is for them to get the final of AFCON, while for Super Falcons, they're just lucky to qualify. Hopefully, Germany will not disgrace us in the next round. Okay.
Sorry, I'm so sorry. Did you say they should get to the final?
So what's the point of getting to the final?
You didn't even wait for them to come out of the group.
We'll be right back after this break. This is the Locker Room on Smooth 98.1 Smooth Breakfast.
Is it serious?
You understand.
He actually said they should come to the final. It's people like you that put them under pressure.
You know now.
In the shine.
Everybody, body parts here.
So you. Well, it's true. We meet, you know, the way we talk about this, we're meeting Germany. It's not like Germany.
We're so afraid.
I think. No,
But Germany, see, we have a better chance of winning against the men. If it was the men's team.
No, we don't.
Than really.
No, we don't. Even a bad German team will beat Nigeria.
Hey, God. So why are we now happy?
You want to reduce her.
Okay.
Again, whatever they call it.
The buzz of alarms hinge, captain of the home, lady of the crime. Through the days of close deals and office politics, the carefree laughter of your little one's tribes. Even with school fees wahala, still you continue to push and believe. And these children will you see so grow and prosper.
Yeah. In Nigeria, father's house would have burnt. This
become when you're sick and what are your routines?
So Valentine inspired.
Okay. Lies you told or experiments you did growing up that totally backfired.
I know some lies that backfired.
Okay. Not a bad one.
So which one are you on?
I don't even know yet.
Okay.
Let me just finish
Let's
this
finish
locker
with
room.
one.
Yeah.
Let's finish with one. What is it? You're trying to taint our content.
Don't be angry, don't be angry.
Leave the room.
Okay, let's go back.
I know. Stand there. Where are you going to?
Morning.
Hi, my name is Abiani Juneji. Over time, people have said a lot of stuff about Lagos, but I'll say my Lagos is one filled with endless possibilities, a home for the multitude, where you hear the best bus arguments ever and find the hottest hangout spots, believe me, where an ordinary man can come to because he knows he'll get the real deal from my Lagos, the city of excellence. You're listening to Smooth 98.1. Love music, love life.
Indeed, it is love music, love life right here on Smooth 98.1. You're still listening to the Smooth Breakfast, and we're inside the locker room with Tega Supreme. Okay, so let's quickly go to Formula One right now. Formula One officials are meeting on Friday over the Canadian Grand Prix. So they'll meet today to hear Ferrari's attempt to overturn the penalty that cost Sebastian Vettel victory in the Canadian Grand Prix.
Yes, they will attempt to discuss. It's not like
wait. To attempt to discuss or to discuss.
Okay, so here's what's happening.
Yeah.
So after Ferrari had agreed at some point that they're not going to appeal the penalty, but they're now claiming that, you know what, we're going to appeal. They're not going forward to going ahead to say, let's see if we can even get it appealed, because the stewards had looked at the video, had seen the replay, had come out with a penalty and had given it, and the winner was chosen last weekend.
Okay.
Now, ideally, the only reason that they should even review this case or look at this case is if there's significant new evidence. So it's not just new evidence, but it's significant. So so Ferrari is going to have to show their new significant evidence first before they can now discuss whether the penalty should even be overturned.
Okay.
Which is why it is an attempt.
Ah,
because I don't know what new evidence they want to bring. If they want to bring
you never can
if they want to
tell.
bring a third car, if they want to show that Sebastian Vettel was having the shivers and that's why his car swerved, I don't know. But what it is that they're just going to try and drag this out as much as possible. At the end of the day, what will happen? What would happen is that things like this that were done to make Formula One a little more safer. After people started dying in the 70s, I think, they're going to review them and say they are racing incidents, because there are few people that have been watching tennis, like Damon Hill's. Sorry, they've been watching F1, like Damon Hill's wife, who's her husband is an F1 champion, so you can imagine when she started watching it. In her mind, it's racing incidents. But people that started watching F1 with all the new security and safety measures, they're like, how dare he enter the track like that? That is very dangerous. So, I mean, there's a lot of questions going on around, but ultimately, they're just trying to force the issue so that if something like this happens again, there'll be precedence for why this. Yes, I'm just waiting for Max to do it to Sebastian Vettel. Let me hear what Ferrari will say. Now it's their own. They are talking plenty. When Max does it to somebody else, they'll be such a reckless driver. So I'm waiting.
Let's move on to some international football. Juventus boss Maurizio Sarri said moving to Juventus is a step forward in his coaching career after a year with Chelsea. And he said he can understand the skepticism surrounding his appointment because it's been the same at every club he's been at.
Okay, so first of all, Sarri is just that ex that has left you and all of a sudden you have body odor. So that's what he's doing.
Oh my God.
He was dating you and now you are broken up. Now he tells everybody her mouth stinks.
You didn't know why you were there.
Well, the 1 year you were dating her, you didn't know that her mouth was stinking, Abby. So that's what it is at this point. It's not that he's totally wrong. But Maurizio Sarri is not one of those politically correct people. To make it worse, he's Italian. And it's in Italian football. That's another level. And so when he says he's not the most favorite person, just think about it. Some years ago, he gets to Juventus to play as the head of Napoli, as the coach of Napoli, 2 seasons ago to be precise. Gets to Napoli to play against Juventus. Some fans were, of course, being fans. And he gave them the middle finger. So you can imagine him walking into Juventus now with those fans in the stands. Are they supposed to support him?
And then, there's something he said. He said that coaching Ronaldo is an escalation. That he has coached great players at Chelsea, but with him, it's the best in the world.
I think at this particular, so what it is there are truths to what he's saying, there are untruths to what he's saying. Chelsea most recently has won the Champions League, something that Juventus have not managed to do. Well, I would say most recently because it was still this century, at least 2012. It's just a few years ago.
2012?
Yeah.
Well,
yes.
I don't know
Ask
about
me
most
when Juventus.
I don't know about most recently, but let's just say recently.
Okay. Ask Juventus if they will not have been happy to win in 2012.
It's not that kind of question.
So I understand when it comes to some player level, like when you have to coach a Cristiano Ronaldo, it's a whole lot different from coaching Eden Hazard. Let's be real. But you didn't need to rub that in.
I mean,
you've made your choice.
World.
You've made your choice. Okay, I've moved on from Idumota to old Ikoyi. You understand? Don't need to brag about it and say it's such a.
Please,
we know
it's an upgrade.
Yeah, you don't need to brag about it. Just be quiet. But again, he's not that person. He's not the bigger man. He's not the let's be politically correct. He's not the he's just the petty.
He's petty.
He's the guy that if you ask him a question, he'll answer you as he feels it.
All right. So FIFA, this is very, very interesting, Tega. So FIFA is going to now take over the running of African football. And this is in the wake of corruption scandals consuming the Confederation of African Football. They announced this yesterday.
So let me put it this way: with CAF and FIFA, it's a slippery slope. Okay. So Ahmad has some questions of integrity, of corruption, case against him, and he was taken in by the French police just a few weeks, maybe just over a week ago.
Yes.
And so there's those questions about him. On the other hand, with Amaju Pinnick, they're supposed to take over from Ahmad Ahmad, based on position.
We already
There's
know
also a few questions
what's
lingering,
going on, yeah.
and to add to the fact that Inyantaki was also the vice president of CAF. Remember what happened to Inyantaki from Ghana, how he was removed. So there's just one too many scandals.
Tied to
CAF. So just like what they did with the cycling tour, the French tour, instead of awarding any winner to replace Lance Armstrong, they just left the place blank, because it seemed everybody that could have replaced him also has questions against their own character. And that's what has happened in CAF. Since everybody that's supposed to replace everybody has a case to answer or has something lingering over them, even if nothing has been proven and nobody has been, convicted of anything yet. And so it's something that FIFA needs to deal with, because FIFA is still, they're just trying to get themselves back as a clean house from what had happened under Sepp Blatter and Michel Platini. Now, I cannot guarantee you that FIFA is 100% clean, but what they've tried to do is launder their image. And so they've tried to launder, bringing in, because they're trying to do this, it would be unwise for them, either by PR or otherwise, to still hold on to loyalties or anything in Africa. So what they've decided to do is, let's continue this laundry. Whether it's a real cleaning of the house or it's just a picture to show that we are cleaning house, we will put somebody in charge of the committee. So now Fatma Samora, who moved from the UN, had no idea about football, has come now, and she's the most powerful. She was the most powerful person in Africa, because she was only the Secretary General of FIFA at the time.
In African football,
she's the most powerful African in football.
In football, yeah.
Yeah, not in African football. In football, anywhere you look at it, she was Secretary General, the most powerful person. And now she is heading all of Africa. So everything that is done, Fatma is one that's taking those decisions. And you can imagine from how she's grown, because she really had no idea, no liaisons with football at the UN, except maybe in grassroots or as part of CSR or community development, and she's now actively.
She'll be taking over the running of CAF from August to January.
Yeah, to January next year.
And then there's a possibility that her 6-month stints can be renewed.
Yeah, of course. Well, there would have to be they can't leave her in that position for. Okay. That's a temporary position. Temporary. Yes, until CAF cleans house. So they may
hopefully CAF cleans us fast.
Yes, if the conviction, if there's no conviction immediately, then they may return to status quo. But if there are convictions and they have to remove people and they have to re-elect people, then that may be one of the reasons they will have to extend her 6 months. Yes.
All right, let's take a few messages before we probably take a final story. Tayo from Yaba says, I think it's the Arsenal mentality that's worrying Iwobi for AFCON. He should wake up, I beg. On Sari, I wish him well as he burns those cigarettes at Juventus. On Nekrios, he has an ego the size of the planet. It will soon deflate with my vulcanizer pin. Okay, Tayo. Me, you. MI from Akoka says, what did the Super Falcons say to the god of elimination? Not today. Nigerian customs should waive the tariff on Thai rice because it's a small price to pay for salvation if you were part of the Calculator FC.
I was calculating spiritual FC.
It says, if you're part of the Calculator FC, please gather here. Let's take a selfie in the VR.